Well, we couldn't ask for a better looking day here in Florida to welcome you to the Capital One Bowl, part of ESPN's presentation of Capital One Bowl Week, and we're happy to have those of you watching on spectacular ESPN 3D with us. A scene that's made for the marriage of Happy New Year in college football. From the Florida Citrus Bowl Stadium in Orlando, number 20 Nebraska taking on number 9 South Carolina.
South Carolina captain.
Hi, everybody. Glad you're with us. Happy New Year to you. Joe Tessitore alongside Rod Gilmore. We'll say hello to Quint Kesnick in a moment. Very interesting Big Ten SEC matchup we have for you. South Carolina's got that stellar defense, but Nebraska, one of the best rushing attacks in the country. They do so with a 1-2 punch. They got the workhorse running back, the lightning-fast quarterback.
Yeah, one of the best rushing attacks, 224 yards a game. And you mentioned inside and outside. Rex Burkhead is the heart and soul of this offense. He's a guy that will pound it inside, get you about 5 yards a carry, the number 3 leading rusher out of the Big Ten. Taylor Martinez, found out about him last season with all those big plays. Continued this year, but not at the same pace, but still more than 800 yards rushing. He'll also have to come up with big plays in the passing attack, not just the option. That'll be required.
South Carolina, meanwhile, is sitting on the doorstep of history. They're a 10-win team. They've never had 11 in school history. Steve Spurrier's proud of this team. They lost their Heisman contender, Marcus Lattimore, the running back, the guy who was supposed to be the starting quarterback. He's off the team. They just kept on winning.
Overcame a lot of adversity. Spurrier has to be happy with that. Think about what the team went through. Replaced the quarterback with Connor Shaw. Changed the offense. Less passing, more running, more quarterback running. That helped them. Had to deal with losing Lattimore. Overcame that. And a lot of that was based on the consistency of an outstanding and very fast SEC defense, particularly up front where they have a great defensive line, great defensive ends, and that SEC speed on defense will be on display this afternoon.
The other big story here, pure talent. We got first-round talent, NFL talent here. Quint Kesnick has more.
Joe, there are 3 potential first-round NFL draft picks playing in this ballgame. Let's start with South Carolina. Defensive end Melvin Ingram. Talk about a playmaker, 8.5 sacks this season. He's got 3 touchdowns. He's got speed and explosiveness off the edge. The intriguing matchup in this game, though, South Carolina wide receiver Alshon Jeffrey. He's only a junior. He's the 27th ranked by Scouts Inc., and he'll go head-to-head with Alfonso Dennard. Dennard is the number 3 ranked corner in the senior class. Where this matchup bears watching is in the red zone. Jeffrey, 6'4", he's got 22 touchdowns with great leaping ability. Dennard's only 5'10", loves to play press coverage. He'll get up in your face. He'll try to reroute you at the line of scrimmage. NFL scouts are here, Joe, and they are eager to watch that matchup.
Jeffrey's such a big one at 6'4", 229. Of course, talent with the coaches as well. Steve Spurrier, his 18th bowl game now in his 22-year career. Nebraska's Bo Pelini brought his brand of football to the Big Ten. He's won at least 9 games in each of his first 4 seasons. South Carolina won the toss, and they have decided to receive. Bruce Ellington and Demir Bird are back deep. Brett Maher, one of the best kickers in all college football. First team All Big Ten as a punter and kicker. And we are underway in the Capital One Bowl. And that big boot of Maher being shown off early. So our first look at the sophomore quarterback for the Gamecocks, Connor Shaw, Rod, who comes from a family of football winners. His dad, Lee, coached the Flowery Branch, Georgia high school team to an 11-1 mark. His brother, Jabo, who went to Georgia Tech, then transferred to Georgia Southern, took that team to the FCS playoffs.
Well, and this offense has been changed mid-season to really accommodate him. A lot more running from the quarterback spot. They've increased it to about 15, 16 carries a game for him.
Empty backfield as Miles goes to the far side. Shaw to pass to open up this game. And he gets it complete to Ace Sanders. Ball comes out and then goes out of bounds. That was Levante David, the All-American linebacker, who came up to jar that ball loose.
Well, the quick thing you notice here is getting Sanders in space. Speed, trying to take advantage of that superior speed that South Carolina believes it has in this ball game.
It's a first down at the 33-yard line. Kenny Miles splits out again from the backfield. The junior getting the start at running back over Brandon Wiles. Shaw to pass again. He's going to take a shot downfield for Jeffrey and just overthrows him. Today's impact players are brought to you by Capital One.
Well, you saw the first shot there at Alshon Jeffrey, and Quinn told you about the matchup. He's a big play receiver, had a huge year last year. Numbers are down, but the real question is his broken hand as he recovered from that happened in the Clemson game. Kenny Miles, very speedy, getting the start. An unusual move there. Melvin Ingram, certainly one of the dominant defensive players in the game. Antonio Allen, boy, he is a fantastic defender, can play some defensive back and linebacker.
Second and 10. Shaw scrambling. He's a good runner, but he is gobbled up and thrown down by Terrence Moore.
Well, it should be noted that South Carolina offensive line has been rebuilt, and Terrence Moore took advantage of it. They had a lot of moves to make. Kyle Nunn is getting his first start at the left tackle spot in about 3 months. They moved Watkins over to the right guard spot. A rebuilt South Carolina offensive line just the last week or so.
So after the sack, a 3rd and 12 for Shaw and the Gamecocks. They pick up the pressure this time. Look at the amount of time Shaw has. Finally chased, trying to keep his footing and thrown down eventually at the 15. He had all day, and then Alonzo Whaley and Will Compton got to him.
But he had nobody open. He had nobody open. That Nebraska secondary did a great job. Shaw wanted to get to Alshon Jeffrey, but here's the matchup we talked about. This is some man coverage, a lot of physical activity by Denner. Then he gets help on the back end by Cassidy, the safety, and that's where Shaw was looking.
So Jay Wooten punts away to Amir Abdullah, and it takes a Nebraska bounce back over midfield. They're going to start on the plus side. And that Cornhuskers offense, coordinator Tim Beck has watched the progression of sophomore quarterback Taylor Martinez. You know how confident he is as a runner, that speed to the edge in the option attack. 9 rushing touchdowns, over 830 rushing yards.
How will he throw the football, particularly on early downs? That's a big question.
Rex Burkhead, as is often the case, gets the call on first down, and he is met right away by that front 4 of South Carolina, included Reginald Bowens.
Well, you know, Nebraska uses a no-huddle concept for rage in college football. They get up to the line in a hurry and try to run a number of plays and fatigue the defense.
The pass on 2nd and 9. Burkhead swinging out of the backfield, using his blocks well for a first down to the 30-yard line. Good effort that time by Rex Burkhead. Finally taken down by DJ Swearinger, but a gain of 14 for the Huskers.
Everybody talks about his ability to get yards after contact, but he is also very elusive. You saw him make the first guy miss.
They fake the pitch. Martinez downfield to the end zone. Touchdown, Kenny Bell. He is their #1 target in the passing game. Rod, one of the big question marks was the passing of Taylor Martinez. Which version of him would we get? a passing grade early on that first drive.
And
Good strike.
Early shot into the end zone. Little confusion in the South Carolina secondary.
Unbelievable block. This can be returned for 2.
That's Gilmore.
Stephon Gilmore. Sean Fisher got up there and rejected it. Brett Maher had been a perfect 42 of 42 on extra points.
A little bobble on the hold and the snap.
So welcome to one of the oddest starts of a game you'll ever see. 6-2. But Martinez strikes first. Kenny Bell to the end zone. Gorgeous day here in Orlando for the Capital One Bowl. 6-2 Nebraska. They scored the touchdown. South Carolina had the return of the blocked extra point. Taking part in today's coin toss, John Witter, president of Capital One Retail Bank earlier today.
What is your call? Calls tails. It is heads.
Capital One does such a good job with this game. Wonderful hosts here in Orlando all week long as Kenny Bell standing up high and tall and proud after that 30-yard touchdown reception. He has been the #1 target in the passing game. They run a lot, but when they do go downfield, he's the man.
He certainly stepped up from his slot position, made a big play as they caught South Carolina kind of napping a little bit in the secondary as they tried to get squared away against that no huddle.
Maher to kick off, and Bird and Ellington are deep. And Bruce Ellington from a few yards into his end zone, and good speed from Ellington as he maintains his footing all the way out to the 44-yard line.
Let's go back to that touchdown and see what was going on in that secondary. There's your receiver right there, Bell. Take a look over here, though. That's Holloman, the strong safety. He is trying to get adjusted to coverage. Little communication issue. He doesn't realize he's got deep coverage. He jumps up on the underneath route. Easy opening for Bell behind him for the touchdown.
Spent so much time preparing for Nebraska. You're prepared for that option attack. They have more options and you know how to deal with it, but that time they go over the top.
Well, the no huddle decreases the amount of time you have to think and adjust back there. You have to speed up your recognition time.
Connor Shaw going to test the outside, gets about 2 yards there. Tackled by Levante David. South Carolina and how they've arrived at this point as a 10-win team.
Yes, 10-win team, a chance to get 11, first time in school history. A couple of big wins this season that they had, including at Georgia, and then the big win over Clemson at the end. They did not play LSU or Alabama this season.
Wallop Clemson, the ACC champs. Ace Sanders now trying to spin his way free, but not much there at all. Tackled by Damian Stafford.
When you think about Nebraska's first season in the Big Ten, their losses came against Wisconsin, Northwestern, and Michigan. All teams that have quarterbacks that can do things with their feet.
And Connor Shaw is one of those, a very talented runner for South Carolina, but now facing a 3rd and 7. Remember, sacked a couple of times on that opening drive by that athletic front of the Huskers.
Dennard following Jeffrey everywhere.
Shaw looking over his options. Good coverage again by the defensive backs. And Shaw tries to sprint ahead, and he's able to do so for a first down.
Well, the offensive line is certainly giving him protection, but with Jeffrey being the #1 option, he's not available. I mean, they are all over Alshon Jeffrey. Denner doing a great job and getting some help. But Connor Shaw pulling the ball down quickly. I mean, there is the matchup. Physical, Denner, physical, all over Jeffrey.
Kenny Miles now, and a gaping hole. He just runs over a defender to the 20-yard line. Great effort by Kenny Miles. 24-yard run.
Here's a view from our DirecTV Ultimate Picture Cam. Here's that angle. Watch Miller, Kenny Miles. He's the guy with the surprising start. Gets a big gaping hole inside. He's got great speed, but it helps from T.J. Johnson, the center. Gives you a great block inside.
And this time down to the 16-yard line as Miles was tackled by Will Compton. So it'll be second down and 6 to go here.
You see why Miles got the start. As much speed as possible they want to have on the field.
There's Marcus Lattimore towards ACL against Mississippi State. Had knee surgery. And look at this, a little trick play here. This is Ace Sanders as they bunched up at the line of scrimmage and then quickly handed off to Ace Sanders. He's going to be about a yard short of the line to make. Give Steve Spurrier a month to prepare for a bowl, and that's what you get.
I think all these coaches are into this. Here's the whole bunch right there now. Now, Ace is somewhere in the middle there. It's kind of like the old Fumble-Rooski.
Well, ironically, Baker Steinpooler plays on the defensive line for Nebraska. It was his dad who had the Fumble-Rooski back in that famous Orange Bowl.
Oh, I love it. I love it.
3rd and 2. Here's the quarterback keeping it. First down, and it'll be 1st and goal. Good block by the fullback, Dalton Wilson.
And he's an outstanding blocker. He's a guy who hardly ever gets mentioned. That's a young man who's had exactly 1 grade less than an A- in his entire life.
Second team academic All-America is Dalton Wilson. 1st and goal. Shaw again. And he reaches out. Ball came loose just as he reached out, but it looks like they're calling him down inside the 1. That was Austin Cassidy who tried to come up and make that play. Wilson again with a block for his quarterback.
Yeah, you'll see the ball come out. Was the knee down? Well, his backside's down. That's a good call by the ref down there. Now, you see the difference in the offense here. Connor Shaw. I mean, they didn't run the ball this much when Steven Garcia was the quarterback. They've really upped it for Connor Shaw.
2nd and goal. Shaw is trying to muscle his way forward, and they're coming in for the mark. He's going to be short. Damian Stafford and Andrew Green piling on over that defensive line to stop the forward momentum of Connor Shaw. So it'll be 3rd and goal just inside the 1.
Now, see, I imagine that they will take 2 cracks if necessary, rushing it here. There's the deep coordinator, John Papuchis. Look at him. You have the option of throwing the fade, but why do that when you can take 2 shots down here?
And now a lot of finger pointing as the right side of that line trying to argue that they were pulled off.
Offside. Defense. Distance to the goal remains 3rd down.
Jerry McGinn, our referee today for the Capital One Bowl. Big East crew working this game between the Big Ten and the SEC. South Carolina in the red zone.
That's pretty good. You want to be up there around 80%. That's pretty good.
3rd and goal. Miles in the backfield with Shaw out of the gun. Did he get it? He reached out, and they're marking him short. It's going to be a 4th and goal, as close as you can get. Levante David with a big play.
David's an All-American. Watch him show up in the play here. There he is. Knee is down. Ball. That's another excellent call.
Now, Pelini said I wouldn't trade him for any linebacker in the country.
Well, he knifed in there and made a play, a big-time play. But that's why they ran on 3rd down. to give a shot to run it on 4th down if necessary, and that's probably what we'll have when we come back.
Capital One Bowl pep rallies for both schools held yesterday afternoon at Point, Orlando. 11th play of this drive. Previous 10 on the ground. A 4th and goal inside the 1. 6-2 game. South Carolina had a return of a blocked PAT to get on the board. And now they're looking for 7 here. Kenny Miles, the running back, with Connor Shaw under center. Shaw going to try to do it himself, and he does. A 4th down touchdown for the Gamecocks.
That was why they ran on 3rd down. And Steve Spurrier had decided a couple of plays ago that with the ball that close to the goal line, he was going to take 2 shots at it. And Connor Shaw got in despite the apparent little face mask that maybe Will Compton, 51, had while reaching across. But they get in with the quarterback sneak.
Jay Wooten able to connect to give us a 9-6 game here in Orlando. Not far away from Cinderella's castle in the Magic Kingdom. Joe Tessitore, Rod Gilmore, Quint Kesnick with you. I don't know how many folks have ever seen a 9-6 game without a field goal, but we've got one here early on at the Capital One Bowl on a magnificent day in Orlando. Of course, up next on ESPN after this game, it's the Rose Bowl game presented by Vizio. Number 10 Wisconsin, number 5 Oregon, and the granddaddy of them all. Coverage begins at 4:30 Eastern on ESPN, ESPN Radio, ESPN3. You got WatchESPN.com, the app, every which way you want to see Wisconsin and Oregon.
That is the one. That is the game that conjures up memories, tradition, family, New Year's Day, contrasting styles, Big Ten, Pac-12, great weather. And that's the one that you just go, ah, bowl season.
Spoken like a former Pac-10 defensive back who dreamed of getting there one day.
The Holy Grail.
The Holy Grail,
yeah.
The granddaddy of them all coming up after Nebraska and South Carolina in the Capital One Bowl. A little bit of a breeze. Taking that ball off the tee for Jay Wooten. Interesting start here, Rod, between these two. These are two teams with good defense and rushing attacks, and they went up and down the field in an entertaining style there.
Contrasting. You know, South Carolina comes out throwing the ball, but that last drive, all 11 plays on the ground. How about Nebraska? Taylor Martinez throwing a long touchdown pass to Kenny Bell. That's not what we expected.
And here is Wooten's short kick, as that ball will draw the penalty, sailing out to the right side.
Place at the 40-yard line, 1st down.
Today's Impact Player is brought to you by Capital One.
Well, we've talked about Alshon Jeffrey already. Our Todd McShay has him. We're talking Nebraska, Rex Burkhead. He's the guy that does a little bit of everything. He is the heart and soul. Amir Abdullah, big play, special teams guy. Devontae David already has made some great plays, and Denard's been having a great game at corner.
Martinez to pass again, and it's off the hands of Kyler Reed, his junior tight end.
I've been watching Denard against Alshon Jeffrey in that matchup all day. I've got that on the brain. It's been a good matchup so far.
It's been a great matchup. Here on offense, the keys to watch is that speedy front of South Carolina, Melvin Ingram and Jadeveon Clowney and Devin Taylor. Against that option attack of Nebraska with Rex Burkhead. And here is Rex Burkhead. Good acceleration and another 1st down past midfield.
You know, I talked to Lorenzo Ward, the new defensive coordinator at South Carolina before the game, stepping in for Ellis Johnson. And he said he would prefer to have Burkhead running the football over Martinez because Martinez gives you the big play. Well, that was a pretty big play.
Here's the pitch now to Burkhead. And he is taken down by Antonio Allen, second-team All-America by the AP, the only player in the SEC in the top 10 of tackles, interceptions, forced fumbles, recoveries. He's had a stellar year, Rod.
But he gets overlooked because of Ingram up front, Jadeveon Clowney up front, Devin Taylor, Kelsey Quarles. They get all the attention, and Allen just plays great every week.
2nd and 10 now. Option to the far side. Martinez pitches late, and Marlowe is then forced out that time by Stephon Gilmore.
I want you to pay attention to Martinez. South Carolina hit him. South Carolina made him give up the football. And it's part of the plan. Don't let Martinez take the ball up the field. Look at the guys going after him. Look at the shots that he takes. Anybody but Martinez is the approach by South Carolina.
See Aaron Green checking into the backfield now on 3rd and 4 with Rex Burkhead. They're going to pass here on 3rd and 4. Burkhead off the fingertips.
He got a little bit too excited. Burkhead working against Swearinger out of the backfield. That wheel route, he had him. He waited a little bit too long and off target. A little bit more air underneath that ball. Throw it sooner. He's got a big play.
Maher comes on to punt. First team All Big Ten, both as a punter and a kicker. First to do that in a decade. Ace Sanders back deep. He's going to let this fly over his head. Bounces at the 1. Will it stay there? Yes, at the 5-yard line. Penalty marker is down back at midfield. We will check on that. Tim Marlowe got down on special teams to down that ball.
Personal foul, face mask on the defense. Number 99, 15-yard penalty, automatic, first down.
Steve Spurrier is going to have his offense backed up a bit.
Face mask penalty indicated against South Carolina. Now Bill move the chains. It'll be
No, he won't.
for Nebraska.
No,
Oh, right. Excuse me.
No, he's going to
free
have
possession.
Yeah. It's worse than that. Nebraska keeps the ball.
They're ruling that pre-possession before the punt took place.
Yeah, they got Quarles, and it's the right call. And before the kick, Kelsey Quarles got into it up front, and that cost them.
So based on the timing of that penalty, Nebraska now in prime position. And look at Burkhead. And a 9-yard run for the junior running back. Let's go back to that personal foul, Ron.
Yeah, here's Quarles right here. Just keep an eye on him. Watch what he does. Helmet and face, hands to the face. That's an automatic penalty. You cannot go up there like that. They found it. They flagged him. Possession, Nebraska.
2nd and 1 now. Martinez option. First down inside the 10. And to the goal line, he's going to be marked just short. 1st and goal, Nebraska.
Reverse pivot out for Martinez. He comes out backside on this thing, and they miss him, and he doesn't quite get into the end zone. But it was that reverse pivot that froze the linebackers and then got him to the edge.
Stacked I formation now, and Burkhead is under center as the quarterback splits out. He pitches, and into the end zone goes Amir Abdullah. Meanwhile, big number 99 cost his team something mighty. Kelsey Quarles with the 15-yarder when they were out there looking to get the ball back on that punt. Instead, it creates a golden opportunity for the Cornhuskers that they cash in on.
Well, they caught South Carolina, and Melvin Ingram in particular, slanting inside, and they were able just to get Abdullah on a quick toss around them.
Last extra point was blocked in return. Maher puts this one straight through. Burkhead with the pitch to Abdullah, and the true freshman scores the quick 6, all because of what that man did, Casey Quarles. Aerial coverage provided by Goodyear. Everything Goodyear has learned making tires that go the distance inspires what they roll into yours. Goodyear, more driven. Just a beautiful day here in Orlando for the Capital One Bowl. Joe Tessitore, Rod Gilmore, Quentin Kesnick with you. 13-9 Nebraska.
Hey, check this out. They didn't have enough guys on the field. I counted them 1 through 10. Might need 11 if you want to stop them on the goal line here. Short a man, and it's a touchdown for Abdullah. That finished off a 60-yard drive, 8 plays with a key penalty, a face mask on Kelsey Quarles. And there's Lorenzo Ward, the new defensive coordinator and the cornerbacks coach, taking over for Ellis Johnson, who's taking a head coaching job at Southern Miss.
Maher kicking off, and Bruce Ellington from a yard deep. Ellington cuts back, finds a nice seam out to the 28. Here's Ryan Bird in the studio.
All right, thanks, Joe. Let's check in on Nebraska or check in with Houston and Penn State. Case Keenum, what a game he is having, finds Patrick Edwards wide open, and it is 21-7 Houston. That game over on ESPNU now 24-7 first half, guys.
Thanks, Ryan. Houston and Penn State meeting up here. Big score down there in the Ticket City Bowl. And we've had an interesting one to get our day started here in the Capital One Bowl. 13-9.
Nice defensive struggle in the first quarter, huh?
There's Miles. And he is wrapped up right away that time. Baker Steinkuhler and Jason Ankra.
You know, Miles is an interesting story. He's a fifth-year guy, will be a fifth-year guy who will have a chance to come back or go elsewhere if he wants. How good is today? How good is today?
How fast are we getting back to the hotel and camping out to watch?
Are you kidding me?
The Rose Bowl game and then the Tostitos Fiesta Bowl.
Oh, how good is today?
Rose Bowl game presented by Vizio coming up at 4:30 here on ESPN right after this exciting Capital One Bowl that we've got brewing here. 2nd and 11. Shaw is going to tuck and run. He does this very well, and he settles in at the 34-yard line.
Well, he can scramble because there's man coverage out there. And so all the defensive backs are turning their back to the line of scrimmage. And when he doesn't see anything open, he can take off and get a few yards. But in terms of getting guys open, it's not happening.
See what happened on their first drive when that front was able to get after him because their defensive backs had such good coverage. Then they went to the ground and scored that 4th and goal when Shaw took it in. Now facing a 3rd and 3. Miles remains the back, flanking Connor Shaw. Sprinting to the near side, downfield and overthrew Ace Sanders. Deontay Evans had the coverage on the fast sophomore from Florida, Ace Sanders.
This offense does miss Marcus Lattimore. When you have him on a 3rd and 4, 3rd and 5, you can run him or you can throw it to him out of the backfield. He is the best all-around back in college football. Hope he gets back next season.
Had a nice chat with their sophomore running back Marcus Lattimore yesterday. He is anxious to get back out there healthy. Jay Wooten with a punt that takes a Nebraska bounce, or excuse me, Joey Scribner-Howard. And that is down there as Scribner-Howard went off the side of the foot just a bit. Just a 23-yard punt there. Let's take a look at our Capital One Academic All-America players. Rex Burkhead, Austin Cassidy, both first team. Sean Fisher was named to the second team. Rex Burkhead is the poster boy of everything college football should be. Just a dynamic young gentleman.
Can you believe what he did at that luncheon the other day?
He's visiting with all the Nebraska players. Team is out the door. He's sitting around just taking pictures. Some older couples came up, spending time with them and thanking them for coming here to support the team. Now Burkhead with blockers in front. It's about 3 yards that time out to the 45-yard line where he was met by Melvin Ingram.
You know, it's not unusual to struggle against an option team early on. You know, you just don't see the same kind of pace and reps in practice. And if you're South Carolina, you've only seen it a couple times this year. Navy, Citadel. Navy blitzed them for more than 200 yards on the ground. And you get frustrated with that offense early on.
Empty backfield for Martinez here on 2nd and 6. And now Burkhead comes around. Martinez goes nowhere. He was met by Devin Taylor, who's had such a good year. Can get overshadowed by Clowney and Ingram on the other side, but he's been so consistent.
This defensive line is your typical SEC front. Big, fast, athletic. You see Taylor just playing the quarterback, had no other responsibility other than to wait for Martinez.
3rd and 7. This is where Ingram and Clowney and that gang likes to get after it. Watch young number 7 on the top of your screen playing defensive end.
Top recruit in college football last season.
Play clock running down. Martinez going to launch it downfield. And he couldn't connect with Jamal Turner, but a flag does come in. Stephon Gilmore had coverage on Jamal Turner.
Pass interference. Defense. 15-yard penalty. Automatic. First down.
Well, Gilmore panicked. The ball was overthrown. He didn't realize it, and he tackled Turner. Ball's over his head. He panics. He didn't have to. He lost perspective on the football, and he didn't know where it was. One look, if he knew where that football was, he wouldn't do this. But he panicked in there and got flagged. And Gilmore's a guy who's considering coming out this season. He's a junior that's rated fairly high.
So pass interference makes it a first down at the 40. I formation with Burkhead, the featured back. Martinez to pass. Oh, and he was swarmed down. He's lucky to hold on to that football as Antonio Allen came after him.
Yeah, you know, he was trying to get a double move on the outside and go deep. But Allen, who was coming off the edge, didn't give him time.
So Allen, with that play, puts an end to the first quarter. It was a fun one. Quite entertaining so far in the Capital One Bowl. Capital One Bowl, part of ESPN's presentation of Capital One Bowl Week. 13-9, Nebraska here. Nebraska took part in one of the most significant games in this bowl's history back when Georgia Tech beat them in January 1st, 91, co-national champs. 2nd and 15 now for the Huskers. Martinez designed quarterback run, and he is wrapped up after just a gain of 2. Devin Taylor was the first to get to him.
2 touchdowns. First 2 possessions for Nebraska. South Carolina, one of the top scoring defenses in college football, almost given up 18 already in this ball game. But this is not the type of situation Nebraska is really effective handling. 3rd and long.
Now they want to stay on schedule. Now they're off schedule with 3rd and 13. Need to get to the 30. Martinez going to go to Burkhead out of the backfield, and Burkhead trying to fight his way back to what was the original line of scrimmage.
Not by Allen.
He was tackled by Antonio Allen. Allen has played a significant role early.
Yeah, he's a hard guy to make miss one-on-one open field. Watch how he goes to that outside leg. And that's what you teach. You go to that outside leg, force that runner to cut back where you have help in case you miss.
So Maher on to punt. Ace Sanders going to put those heels on the 10-yard line. Directional kick And the fair catch down there, the 11. South Carolina back on offense when we come back, trailing by 4. Ninth-ranked team in the country, trailing by 4 here in the second quarter in Orlando at the Capital One Bowl. Tonight, 8:30 Eastern on ESPN, the Tostitos Fiesta Bowl. Ron, I've been drooling over this one. Number 4 Stanford, number 3 Oklahoma State. That's tonight on ESPN, ESPN Radio, ESPN3. Sean McDonough, Matt Millen, Heather Cox will have the call of what I think could be the most exciting bowl game that we're going to see over the course of the next week.
Well, I think that's right, but I think a lot of folks are overlooking the defenses in this game, particularly Stanford's. I mean, Stanford's defense is a lot better than folks are giving them credit for.
Connor Shaw now, Gamecocks back on offense, and he gets it to Alshon Jeffrey. We haven't called Alshon Jeffrey's name much.
Well, first catch of the night, of the afternoon, rather. It seems like night to him because he's been blanketed out by Dinner. That man right there has been all over him.
So a first down for Jeffrey. Broke his left hand in that game against Clemson.
First down, 22.
Shaw tried to make the most of it, just got about a half a yard. Now look at Alshon Jeffrey versus Denner.
Well, Denner's been winning this thing. And Denner is a lot shorter, but he's powerful, strong hands, great in press coverage, quick feet. Got a little help from Cassidy back there, but he's done a great job up front on Jeffrey. And you see why Denner is considered a first-round pick.
2nd and 10 now. Play action. Shaw to Wilds. Couldn't hold on to it. Incomplete. Let's check in with the studio and Ryan Burr. What's up, Ryan?
All right, Joe. TaxSlayer.com Gator Bowl. Florida taking on Ohio State. It was the Gators striking first. John Brantley. Deontay Thompson, 17-yard touchdown. Ohio State has just scored. Point after pending. That could tie it up on ESPN2. Over on ABC, the Outback Bowl. Pitchers duel. Georgia up 2-0 on Michigan State. Joe?
You think Ryan knows that we've got the Watch ESPN app going on up here?
He's giving us studio updates. We got our own right here because of your iPad and that app.
Good stuff.
3rd and 10 now. Shaw out of the gun, sprinting to the near side. A little bit of pressure, and he's unable to escape it. Levante David, the All-American linebacker, surging in against Connor Shaw.
I know, and David is great, but I'm telling you, that coverage in the secondary,
awesome,
unbelievable. I mean, Steve Spurrier said all week long, hey, they're going to play man coverage. I'm not sure they can hold up against us. We'll find out. Well, guess what? Right now, we're finding out that that secondary of Nebraska is winning every battle out there, and that gives David time to make a sack.
Scribner Howard hunting here. Abdullah fields it at the 35, and they were right on top of him. Nebraska's ball when we come back to beautiful Orlando. Great place to come for a bowl game, Capital One Bowl here in Orlando. So it gave the teams a chance to go out to SeaWorld and enjoy themselves. See, this isn't the stuff you do, Rod, when you come to a location like this, because you're too busy watching game film in your hotel. And I laugh because the one time you went to Disney this week, you went there to go talk to folks about football at a dinner.
Yeah.
Rex Burkhead now as he takes it out past the 40-yard line.
But how cool a week was this for the players and coaches, you know, and Disney is packed and the rides are jamming and folks are having a blast. It's really become the Capital One Bowl a huge, huge attraction for college football teams.
The largest payout outside the BCS Bowls. Long-standing tradition in this area. 2nd and 3 now. And first down for Nebraska as Burkhead was able to take it to the 45-yard line that time.
You know, talking to Tim Beck, the offensive coordinator for Nebraska before the game, he was fairly confident that his guys could run the football. Wasn't certain that it would be optioned, but he felt good about his matchup with that front seven.
Now they're going to pass off of it downfield, and that ball is deflected down by Devontae Holloman as Quincy Enunwa was the target for Taylor Martinez.
Well, sort of the same route that they scored off of. That's that crossing route from the slot receiver. And Holloman was there to take care of the play. He was the guy that was beaten last time. As you see, that was Kenny Bell coming from right to left.
Second and 10 now. Try to set up the screen, and Burkhead with blockers in front, weaving his way. Now he gets the sideline and accelerates inside the 30. A 26-yard gain that time by the multi-dimensional Rex Burkhead.
Oh, here's a view from our DirecTV Ultimate Picture Cam, and you see Burkhead slipping out to the right side. He makes a couple of guys miss. I mean, he may not be the fastest runner around, but he is elusive. And they're throwing the ball to him, looking for him in the passing game.
Pitch to Abdullah now, and he is cut down in the backfield. He had to leap forward just to get back to the line of scrimmage, but Jadeveon Clowney, the #1 recruit in the country a year ago, getting in there to make that tackle. There was so much hype and pressure surrounding this kid to play SEC football.
You know, all he did was become a freshman of the year in the SEC. 6 sacks, 10 tackles for loss as a backup defensive end.
They come with the end around now. Kenny Bell. Bell inside the 20 and finally forced out, but not after a first down run to the 15-yard line.
Well, when you play a fast defense, you want to get them flowing one way and come back the other way. But South Carolina had this prepared. I mean, Stephon Gilmore's right there. He just went for the knockout punch down low. Clowney gets sucked inside. He's going after the quarterback. He's got no shot to get Bell there.
Burkhead on the pitch. He's looking to throw back. Pressure comes, and he's going to run it himself inside the 10 and taken down to the 8. Taylor Martinez was trying to leak out to the near side, but Burkhead did the smart thing and didn't force it.
Well, here he is. Watch Martinez come out this side and watch the traffic he generates. He's going to get 3 red shirts over there, and that's where Burkhead was looking and said, "Uh-uh, I'm better off running this football."
Second and 8 now. Burkhead off the near side, and he dives ahead to the 8-yard line, so it'll be a 3rd and about 2.
Well, Ingram trying to get inside off the edge. They just go with him and push him out there. Let him go in the direction he wants to go. And you think about Burkhead from Plano, Texas, you're talking Friday Night Lights. I mean, clear eyes, full heart.
There's the pitch now. Ball is up in the air. Swearinger was able to pop it loose, and Aldrick Fordham recovers it for the Gamecocks.
Abdullah couldn't hang on to it. Swearinger is the hard-hitting safety who plays near the line of scrimmage. You see him coming flying up now, filling the alley, and hits it right on the football. Now, you got to carry that thing high and tight and protect it with 3 points. Had it up high, but didn't have 3 points of protection on it. That's a big hit and a big change.
True freshman running back coughs up the ball in the red zone. Empty backfield now for Connor Shaw. Shaw downfield looking for Jeffrey. In stride, Alshon Jeffrey. They're chasing him inside the 10.
Here's the matchup right there. First-round pick against first-round pick. Dinner gets beat. He doesn't get his hands on Jeffrey at the line of scrimmage.
Kenny Miles down to the 1-yard line on the run. A 78-yard reception. Shaw to Jeffrey, and they are hurrying up to the line here on 2nd and goal. Shaw tried to get that big offensive line going forward, but Levante David stopped that, so it'll be a 3rd and goal at the 1.
Well, that offensive line, Jerry Rigg, for this ball game, has done a nice job up front. And Kyle Nunn out for 3 months, number 68, hanging in there at the left tackle.
Shaw out of the gun on 3rd and goal. Play clock running down here. Under 5 seconds now. He loses the ball as he comes forward, but the whistle blew and the flag came down. They were really rushing things there and could have used a timeout, Rod.
There's no play. Delay of game. Offense. 5-yard penalty. 3rd down.
Watch the play clock and listen for the whistle. You saw that the play clock did hit 0.
Well, and you saw that Shaw saw it. He started clapping his hands, trying to tell his center, Caputo Johnson, to snap it. And now you think 3rd and goal from this distance? How about Jeffrey, your 6'4" big-time receiver in man coverage?
Instead, they go with Bird, and Bird just gets it inside the 5-yard line, tackled by Chase Rome.
Well, unless you're thinking 2 plays, I don't know why you weren't thinking about that matchup with Jeffrey.
Let's check in with Quinn.
I'm standing about 5 yards off to Steve Spurrier's left. He wanted that play changed at the line of scrimmage. A little upset with his quarterback, Connor Shaw, that he didn't look over and change the play.
Yeah, Quinn, I think he saw what we saw.
Jay Wooten comes on, 5th-year senior, for the 20-yard attempt, and he was unable to connect. So think about the sequence with the cornerback, Alfonso Dennard. Dennard got beat by Alshon Jeffrey, the matchup we've been watching all day. But he caught him from behind to save the touchdown, and then they missed the field goal. Jay Wooten, just 7 of 11 on the year. Welcome back to the Capital One Bowl. Nebraska just dodged a little bit of a bullet there, still up 13-9. Aerial coverage provided by Goodyear. Everything Goodyear has learned making tires that go the distance inspires what they roll into yours. Goodyear, more driven. We're enjoying our full day of football here, starting with the Capital One Bowl. And then tomorrow night on ESPN, the All-State Sugar Bowl, number 13 Michigan, number 11 Virginia Tech. Coverage begins at 8 o'clock Eastern tomorrow night on ESPN. You can also listen on ESPN Radio and watch on ESPN3. Burkhead getting a lot of work today. The junior running back had 38 carries against Iowa in the season finale.
He may get 38 today. You think about what he's done in this game already, 10 carries, 50 yards, and it's not all option. I mean, they're lining up, running at this front.
They'll show you every look.
Oh, yeah.
Burkhead now, good spin move, and then tries to cut back against the grain. Can he pick up a block? As he is brought down by Jadeveon Clowney out at the 28-yard line, so it'll be a 3rd and 2.
You really don't want to reverse field against this defense. There's a lot of speed in that front. You're not going to break one, especially with a guy like Clowney staying home on the outside.
See what he's done so far today. All Big Ten, academic All-America. Third and a long one now. Waiting for his block, and it'll be close based on the mark as Antonio Allen took him down there.
Seemed like the timing was a little bit off on that for Nebraska.
Well, they pulled that left guard, and he had to wait for Hoon Choi.
Yeah, as much
and he is short.
Yeah, as much as you'd like to think you can pick up a half yard here, it's way too dangerous. You've got to kick this football. You go here and you don't get this, you are really setting up South Carolina. This is a very, very gutsy move by Bo Pelini.
Bo Pelini going for it on 4th and 1 from his own 39, but that play clock is running down, and they are going to use a timeout. So we will take a break. 13-9 Nebraska. Nebraska at their own 29-yard line.
Trying to draw him off, maybe? And this is awfully risky. Awfully risky if you do this and you don't get it.
They're going for it. And Burkhead over the top gets it. Bo Pelini, with the gutsy call here in the Capital One Bowl.
You know, there are not a lot of coaches that would do that, because you don't get that and you set up the other team for points going into the half, you will hear about it and your coaching acumen will be questioned.
So a first down. And Burkhead, he gets free, wiggles out beyond that line for yet another Nebraska first down. Good blocking on the right side of that line.
Now, Burkhead, told you, Plano, Texas, you know, high school football down there.
Oh, yeah. Friday Night Lights down there in Texas.
Yep. You know what they say, clear eyes, full heart, can't lose.
His brother came out of Plano, went on to play at Harvard, and he's a star here at Nebraska. Here's Rex again to the 45-yard line, tackled by Kelsey Quarles, who had that special teams penalty that was costly. Rose Bowl game presented by Vizio. That's going to be a good one between Wisconsin and Oregon. It follows us down here in Orlando.
We get closer and closer to that big one. LaMichael James, Monty Ball, a lot of stars in that game.
Monty Ball, 38 touchdowns this season. There's Martinez testing the right side. He gains a couple of yards. Martinez himself with a good year on the ground. You talk so much about Rex Burkhead, but Taylor Martinez went for 837 rushing yards and 9 rushing touchdowns, although it was his arm we saw early scoring.
Yeah, you know, only 5 carries for 15 yards in this ball game, and that's because South Carolina has focused on taking the ball out of his hands. But as you mentioned, he's come up big passing the football. Can he do it now on another third down?
3rd and 5 as they go pistol formation on 3rd and 5. Now he looks over to the line. Play clock once again running down.
You know, Burkhead has been really good out of the backfield catching the ball.
Martinez downfield over the middle, and he's able to get it complete to Ben Cotton. Ben Cotton, a junior tight end who wasn't able to practice until this bowl week with a big catch there. Let's check in with Ryan Burr.
All right, Joe, coming up on the H&R Block halftime report, I'll be joined by Mark May and Lou Holtz. We will welcome Auburn head coach Gene Chizik into studio, get his thoughts on the BCS, get a preview from the Rose Bowl, and check in on Case Keenum and the air show Houston's putting up on Penn State. Guys, we'll see you at the half.
Melvin Ingram just completely laid out Taylor Martinez.
If you didn't know me before, Mr. Martinez, you know me now. Check him out. He beats his block and shows up in a hurry.
Oh, my. Why do I have a feeling that's going to show up on all the clips that Todd McShay will have heading into the draft? He's the number 12 prospect. Here's Burkhead now, and he gets met right away that time by Gilmore.
Well, South Carolina so focused on the option, they're using their corners in the run game. They're bringing them up to try and take the pitch, and it just so happened that Gilmore rolled up thinking corner, thinking option, and he was there for that swing pass.
So after that big reception by Ben Cotton, now they face a 3rd and 14.
You know, Martinez has been good. We've seen him be shaky at times throwing the football, but he's been really good today.
3rd and 14. Intercepted by Gilmore.
Back-to-back plays by Gilmore. And again, he was rolled up in a short area of the field, not in deep coverage. He's off to your left. And he just sits there and comes in for the pick. Rolled up in a short position.
Taylor Martinez had gone 4.5 games without throwing an interception. And then Stephon Gilmore got him there just when Nebraska had their offense rolling. Connor Shaw now with time. Shaw sprints out, tucks it, runs it, plenty of real estate as he slides for a first down to the 40. And now for today's trivia question. Baylor and Washington set the non-overtime bowl record, 123 points in the Valero Alamo Bowl. What's the most points scored in a Steve Spurrier coached bowl game? Alshon Jeffrey tiptoes the sidelines. So we saw all the scoring the other night with Washington and Baylor, 123 points.
Yep.
But in terms of this guy right here, Steve Spurrier, who's been in so many good ones, 18 bowl games. Well, how about the last time he played Nebraska in a bowl game? The Aflac trivia question answer, the Fiesta Bowl in '96. 86 points were scored that day as Nebraska. We got a timeout here called. 6 seconds remain. Just before the half here at the Capital One Bowl, Joe Tessitore, Rod Gilmore, Quint Kesnick. Stephon Gilmore had that interception to shut down Nebraska's offensive drive, and then a little mismanagement of the clock by South Carolina, leaving only 7 seconds they're listing it at remaining.
Little mismanagement. Yeah. 2 timeouts. They wasted 20 seconds there. I mean, if you're hurrying up and trying to score, you got to call a timeout when you got more time on the clock. You got 2 of them. Now they're down to 1 and only 6 seconds.
Shaw's going to air it out. It is caught by Jeffrey for a touchdown.
Oh my goodness.
Mismanage the clock all you want if you got that. Alshon Jeffrey. Oh my. Connor Shaw's prayers were answered by the big-time NFL prospect.
Now, the mistake that Nebraska made was that Jeffrey was not even supposed to be down there. You've had Dennard on him all day, press coverage, being physical. That's what you need to do to the only guy that can out-jump you and not let him get down there. But he's down there in perfect position, and not only does he catch it, he's able to elude a guy to get into the end zone. Oh, that's good. That's 6. Knee does not touch down until he's in the end zone. That is a big-time play. Wow. Wow.
Connor Shaw bought himself a little bit of time, reset himself, cranked it up, and said, hey, I got 6'4", 229 on the other end. Let's take a shot.
Didn't need the other timeout or the other 20 seconds, apparently.
They knew what they were doing, I guess.
Had it all along.
Wildly entertaining first half here in the Capital One Bowl. Let's go down to the field to Quinn.
Coach, what did you see on that Hail Mary?
We didn't execute. We didn't do what the guys were told to do, and the kid made a good play.
What's it like twice
we'll be fine.
to drive into South Carolina territory and turn the ball over?
We'll be just fine.
Joe, back to you.
Bo thinks they're going to be fine. I don't think he's too pleased with what just happened. 51-yard Hail Mary to Alshon Jeffrey. After these messages, it's Ryan Burr, Mark May, Lou Holtz, and Gene Chizik joining you back in the studio for the H&R Block halftime report. 16-13 Gamecocks. Welcome back to the Capital One Bowl, part of ESPN's presentation of Capital One Bowl Week. And we welcome those of you watching us on spectacular ESPN 3D. What a first half. 16-13 South Carolina. How we arrived at that score, glad you're with us, Joe Tessitore and Rod Gilmore, is an oddity. We had a return blocked extra point, and we had a Hail Mary caught by Alshon Jeffrey as we take a look at our expert breakdown brought to you by Farmers Insurance.
Well, we've been watching this great matchup all day between Alfonso Dennard at corner and Alshon Jeffrey. And when Dennard's been able to get his hands on Jeffrey, he's done a great job. Dominated the first quarter. But when he doesn't get his hands on him, as he did not here, Jeffrey got loose for a 78-yarder. And then with no one in his face, Jeffrey goes down the field right before halftime. 6 seconds left. Hail Mary and gets into the end zone for a touchdown. That was just spectacular and stunning right before half.
Nebraska had turnovers on their last 2 possessions. And that fumble at the South Carolina 7, the interception at the South Carolina 29. We thought South Carolina was kind of just mismanaging the clock there in the final minute before the half.
They were.
But I'll tell you what, when you have Alshon Jeffrey, you can solve a lot of problems.
Yeah, he erased the mismanagement of the clock with one big leap.
Nebraska will get the ball to start things off here. Jay Wooten a kick, and Amir Abdullah and Tim Marlowe back. Jeffrey with 148 yards and that Hail Mary touchdown.
Let's not forget about Rex Burkhead and what he did in that first half. He had a fantastic first half. 15 carries, 71 yards, and also caught 4 passes. He was really the Nebraska offense.
Amir Abdullah now on the return. And he is spun down close to the 30-yard line. Check in with Quint Kesnick.
Joe, I spoke to South Carolina coach Steve Spurrier coming out, and he was the exact opposite of Bo Pelini coming in. He was almost giddy, had a big smile on his face. I think he realizes how fortunate the Gamecocks are right now to have this lead. And you think about the momentum change, Nebraska sulking into the locker room, South Carolina bouncing out. Cornhuskers right now have to pick it up in terms of emotion.
Thanks, Quint. Yeah, he has reason to be giddy, and Bo Pelini, when he was coming off the field at the end of that first half, he couldn't get into that locker room fast enough. Just livid over giving up that Hail Mary. Now here's the pitch to Burkhead. And a stiff arm and a few more yards as he gets it out to the 37-yard line, run down by Rodney Polk.
Well, if you're in Nebraska, you have a lot to be happy about. I mean, they've run the football in South Carolina. 100 yards rushing in the first half. And it's not just been option. I mean, they've lined up and run it straight at South Carolina and been effective. And then Taylor Martinez has hit a couple big passes.
2nd and 3 now. Play action. Martinez able to get it complete that time to Tyler Legate, the fullback, for a first down.
Well, we've been talking about this Nebraska offense. It's done a nice job today. Look, points are a little bit behind pace right now, but they've run the ball effectively. They've passed it very effectively. And, Tess, you and I were talking about the fact that Martinez is more effective when he throws down the field, not when you ask him to look in windows.
That's right. Play action going to the seam is where he's at his best. The inside handoff this time just goes for about a yard with Burkhead as he was met by Quinn Smith, one of the biggest hitters on that South Carolina defense, the junior linebacker.
Smith and company have had their hands full with that power attack. A little bit of option. They've taken the ball out of Taylor Martinez's hand as far as running the ball, but Burkhead's been effective.
Play action again, right over the middle, and this is complete. And Kenny Bell stands up to that hard hit, and it's a Nebraska first down at the 44-yard line. DJ Swearinger came in and nailed him.
That's what we were talking about. You're not asking Martinez to read anything here. It's play action. He's looking for one guy in one spot. He doesn't have to worry about where coverage is coming from. He can do that on the deep balls or on the play action. But when you ask him to check here, check there, a little bit more difficult.
Martinez going to keep it himself. Good move by Martinez inside the 20 and finally pushed out of bounds. But you see that quick step by Taylor Martinez.
Well, Clowney was to that side, and he came crashing down on the dive back. Left the quarterback available for someone else who did not get out there. You always have to have someone on the quarterback, preferably a couple of guys. A guy playing dive to quarterback and a guy playing the quarterback or pitch to quarterback.
36-yard run by Martinez, now a 1st and goal. To pass. Ripped down, throws the ball, and it is caught by Reed. And Reed is taken down all the way back at the 17-yard line.
Yeah, Reed might have been better off just dropping it, knocking it down.
Devin Taylor was chasing down Taylor Martinez, and the outcome is a big loss for Nebraska.
Well, Devin Taylor was responsible for Martinez on the option, and so he just went right to him.
An 8-yard loss after that. 2nd and goal now, and they run now with Burkhead, and Burkhead to the 11-yard line. So it was a 1st and goal that looked promising, now turns into a 3rd and goal from the 11.
They've had their problems down here inside the 20 in the red zone. Abdullah fumbled early on. You know, they start off down here and then they lose yardage. They're making it tougher on themselves. They're not staying on schedule with plays like that.
And you see the left tackle, Yoshi Hardrick, was slow to get up, and now he walks off the field here.
You know, Tess, they have to be careful how they throw the ball down here. Burkhead out of the backfield is their safest option. They'll get some zone coverage, and Martinez will have to figure it out if he throws it over the middle.
His favorite target, Kenny Bell, is split to the top of your screen. 3rd and goal, and there was some movement up front.
False start, offense, 22. 5-yard penalty, 3rd down.
Now,
so that'll back them up even further.
Yeah, and this is getting a little bit shaky for Nebraska. You've got 3 points in your back pocket. With your kicker, you know you've got 3 points. You don't want to turn it over and give up 3 points down here or get a sack. You got to come away with something.
Martinez had that big run, and since then they've been going in the wrong direction. 3rd and goal.
Yeah, this may be a Burkhead time. Safe, secure, get him the ball, he'll take care of it.
Martinez, they do just that, trying to set up the screen. And that was clogged up from the beginning as he is taken down just inside the 20-yard line. The offense all of a sudden went into reverse.
Yeah, but that's a smart play on 3rd and forever. Yeah, give it to your most reliable player on the field. He's got to take care of the football. You've got a chance to come away with 3 points, and with the kicker you have, that's pretty much automatic.
Brett Maher, one of the best kickers in the country. This from 36. Nebraska as a team in recent years has been money inside of 40. But not now.
Wow. Wow. Are you kidding me? They never miss.
He was a perfect 12 for 12 inside of 40. And all the recent success with Alex Henry before him. They had 42 straight inside of 50, did Nebraska. But shake your head at that one. Cocky and Herbie Husker trying to get a little play today as Connor Shaw, flag came in at the line of scrimmage as he was taken down by Terrence Moore.
Connor Shaw has been the running attack, or at least the attempted running attack.
Personal foul, chop block, offense, number 68. Half the distance to the goal, 1st down.
With Shaw, that was his 14th carry. Not more than a total of 20 yards now for him. I really think that South Carolina is going to have to throw the ball more. Only 8 passing attempts in the first half. And boy, was Jeffrey huge on a couple of them.
Play of the day so far, the 51-yard Hail Mary to end the first half. First and 20 after the penalty. They run the reverse to Ace Sanders. And Sanders gets it to the 20.
You know, Alshon Jeffrey, there was a question about how healthy he would be in this ball game after the Clemson game in which he broke his hand. But it was the same injury that Julio Jones had at Alabama last year, and Steve Spurrier was quite convinced that he'd be able to play and that he'd do well. There you see the scar from his surgery on that left hand.
2nd and 10. Kenny Miles nowhere to go. Baker Steinkuhler, the big and physical son of Dean Steinkuhler, the former Nebraska offensive lineman, known famously for that fumble-rooski back in the Orange Bowl in the 80s.
There are certain things you just don't forget. Fumble-rooski, Orange Bowl, Steinkuhler. How odd is that, though, that his dad was an offensive lineman?
Brother Ty also played for Nebraska back in 2008. He was a defensive tackle.
Yeah.
3rd and 10 now. Shaw. Downfield. And that was almost intercepted. He was looking for Jason Barnes, but he was well covered that time. And you saw Stafford and Green in there.
Yeah, Stafford did a really nice job coming over from his strong safety spot. You see, he read this right from the beginning. He was right on track and almost had a shot at picking that thing off. Connor Shaw never looked the safety off. He brought him right over there into the coverage.
Joey Scribner Howard on to punt. Amir Abdullah back at the 30. It takes a bounce and it runs inside the 35 where it is down there. 16-13 South Carolina here in downtown Orlando at the Capital One Bowl. Alongside Rod Gilmore and Quint Kesnick, I'm Joe Tessitore. Glad you're with us. A happy new year to you. We're here at the Capital One Bowl, number 9 South Carolina with a 16-13 lead. Looking for their 11th win of the year. That would be the most in South Carolina football history. Nebraska back on offense, and Rex Burkhead was stacked up at the line of scrimmage that time.
You know, the last 2 times Nebraska had the ball, they got into the red zone, came away with nothing.
Costly fumble, and then the interception just before the half, which led to, well, what is the play of the day so far? The Hail Mary, the 51-yarder to Alshon Jeffrey. And now Martinez spins option and goes for a good gain about a yard short of the sticks, taken down by Holloman.
A nice halftime adjustment by Nebraska. You know, they're trying to free up Taylor Martinez. They're giving him a lead blocker now. You'll see Legate here. He's protecting Martinez. Martinez didn't do much in the first half. Now they've changed up the option they run with him to give him a blocker.
3rd and 1. There's the pitch, and Burkhead does get the first down. Travian Roberts, the tackle there. Robertson's been the cornerstone the last 2 years on the inside of that physical South Carolina defense.
That defense being challenged by Nebraska's power rushing attack, more so than the option.
First down pistol formation now. Burkhead flag is down right away as Burkhead goes for about 1.5 yards and was tackled by Melvin Ingram.
Legal formation. Offense. More than 4 players in the backfield. 5-yard penalty. First down.
Tonight at 8:30 on ESPN, the Tostitos Fiesta Bowl, number 4 Stanford, number 3 Oklahoma State. The finale in the college career of Andrew Luck.
You know, we had Iowa State and Oklahoma State, that big upset. We saw Iowa State run the football, and we saw Whedon have his shakiest game of the season.
Interception in overtime that led to Iowa State's score, that the game that really disrupted the entire BCS standings and opened the door for what will be our national championship with LSU and Alabama. There's the pitch to Burkhead, and Burkhead is run down by Victor Hampton. Good defense by the cornerback.
And you think about that matchup, you know, Whedon was the leader in the Heisman race going into that Iowa State game and then fell off after that. Andrew Luck stayed in the race the entire way, ultimately losing out to RG3. But you see the numbers. Both these quarterbacks have had outstanding seasons, and they're both fantastic in the red zone.
I want to ask you about the experience factor, because it's the first BCS appearance for Oklahoma State, and we know Stanford, what they did in the Orange Bowl last year with great success. 2nd and 14. Martinez just trying to make the most of it. A flag came down.
I don't know that the experience is going to be that much of a factor.
Offense, number 77, 10-yard penalty, 2nd down.
I think the bigger factor in that Fiesta Bowl will be which defense plays better.
Well, we've seen the Oklahoma State defense at times this year, and it does not look like a defense that you would associate with a national title contender. It's their offense.
Well, they're ranked 107th in total defense. That's not what you would expect. And I think the Stanford defense sort of got a bad rep because Oregon put up a lot of points on them. But for 11 of their 12 games, that Stanford defense played pretty well.
So that's coming up tonight. The Tostitos Fiesta Bowl, 8:30 on ESPN. Another flag comes in here to a motion.
Ball start. Offense, number 61, 5-yard penalty, 2nd down.
Ball start will back them up even more all the way to the 26-yard line.
I tell you, Nebraska, although they've run the ball well and thrown it well, they've made a number of mistakes that have hurt them. Fumble in the red zone, block extra point. Martinez got picked, and they missed an automatic field goal. 1st and 42 attempts inside the 50.
2nd and 29. Taylor Martinez, and he is dragged down to the 35-yard line. Here's Ryan Burr in the studio.
All right, Joe, TaxSlayer.com, Gator Bowl, Ohio State and Florida, and special teams. It's been big all day, especially for the Gators. They've already returned 1 punt. Here's a block. Chris Rainey with the block. Graham Stewart scoops and scores. And the Florida Gators up now 21-10 over on ESPN2. Guys.
SEC on top there. SEC on top of the Big Ten here, 16-13. 3rd and 20 as this Citrus Bowl Stadium has gotten loud.
Make it 25.
And make it 25 as there was a false start again.
Ball start. Offense, number 50, 5-yard penalty, 3rd down.
What do you think? Are there more South Carolina fans than Nebraska fans here? It's hard to tell with all the red.
I'll tell you, both fan bases traveled very well here to Orlando. I mean, what's not to like coming down here to Central Florida with the week of weather we've had? But right now, the Big Red fans not enjoying the view so much as 4 penalties for 25 yards on this drive alone.
And this is not the kind of 3rd down that Nebraska can pick up.
Just not how they're built. Martinez going to just tuck it and run it. And he was met that time by DJ Swearinger. And a little something extra down there, the 47-yard line, as Kenny Bell and Victor Hampton were getting into it at the end of the play, but they separate.
Good job by the officiating crew.
We got Jerry McGinn from the Big East here with us.
Yeah, that's good. You like to see them get in there and instead of immediately throwing flags, if there's a chance to diffuse the situation, it's nice to see that done.
Ace Sanders steps out to return the Brett Maher punt. And that trails out to the left. 4:19 to go in the 3rd. 16-13 doesn't have Bo Pelini so happy. Glad you're with us. Joe Tessitore, Rod Gilmore, Quint Kesnick, number 9 South Carolina, 16-13 on top of Nebraska. Capital One Bowl, part of ESPN's presentation of Capital One Bowl Week. It's been a wildly entertaining game with a few oddities. We had the blocked PAT returned for South Carolina's first score. So this score was 6-2 early on, and then just before the half, a 51-yard Hail Mary. Alshon Jeffrey, one of the more athletic plays we've seen this year in college football, made it 16-13. Connor Shaw, plenty of time. And then he tucks and runs and picks up a few yards. Of course, this offense doing it all without the star running back Marcus Lattimore. He's now with Quinn.
Marcus was injured in mid-October. First question, rehab. Where are you right now in terms of getting back on the field?
Just strengthening. You know, that's the main thing right now, getting my extension back. And, you know, a couple more weeks, I'll be running.
That's great news. What's it been like today? You've been a cheerleader and almost like an assistant coach.
Oh, definitely. And, you know, the main thing we had to work on when our coach left was protections. You know, he explained protections well, and, you know, that's what I've been trying to go over.
That ball was thrown short, but caught by Anderson, and a good gainer by Rory Anderson to the 46-yard line. Austin Cassidy made the tackle. Quinn?
Marcus, what was it like at halftime? After Alshon caught that Hail Mary, there was a huge change in momentum. What was the Carolina locker room like?
Oh, it was very live in there. You know, we knew coming in that they were going to be a tough team, and to make that play at the end of the half was big.
Thank you for your time. Good luck. See you on the field.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Marcus Lattimore, 30 touchdowns in the season and a half that he played. A real Heisman contender. Flea flicker time. Connor Shaw steps up downfield, and he missed, looking for Bruce Ellington.
You know, I saw Lattimore on the field before the game. He looks good. He's the best running back in college football, the most complete running back.
You haven't hesitated in saying that all week long in preparing for this game, and you say because of everything he can do.
He can do pass protection. He runs the football well inside, fast enough to get to the edge, not super fast, and can catch the ball out of the backfield.
2nd and 10 now. Shaw again looking downfield and gets it complete to his running back, Kenny Miles, who was cut down by Ciante Evans.
You talk about South Carolina's offense with Lattimore versus without having Lattimore. You know, they ran the ball more, but they had to go to the quarterback. They had to use the quarterback because they didn't have Lattimore. They're throwing it less, running it more with the quarterback because they don't have that man who had more than 800 yards in his first 7 games.
Here's a 3rd and 6. Nebraska brings pressure. Shaw escapes it for the moment and then is taken down. Levante David, their star linebacker, and a late flag comes in here. Flag is down all the way at the 31-yard line. Alfonso Dennard was covering Alshon Jeffrey downfield. We'll see what the call is.
After the play, personal foul on the defense, number 15 is ejected. Also, personal foul, offense, number 1 is also ejected. Penalties offset.
2 of the best players in college football are out of this game. Alshon Jeffrey and Alfonso Dennard.
Well, that was the matchup that was going on all day. And they were physical with each other. This is probably a bigger loss for South Carolina than for Nebraska because Jeffrey is the passing attack. I mean, these guys physical going at it, and this gets really ugly at the end here. They're swinging, throwing punches, and that's automatic. You throw a punch.
Oh, Dennard threw the punch right at him.
And Jeffrey retaliated.
So Alshon Jeffrey, who had the Hail Mary catch earlier, Alfonso Dennard, who's Todd McShay says the 25th overall prospect heading to the NFL draft, they are gone. 2 of the headliners of this game.
2 first-round picks. 2 guys that have had a huge impact on this game. They're out with a full 4th quarter and then some to play.
Wow. Scribner Howard's kick takes a bounce, and it does go into the end zone.
way too selfish. You can't get caught up in stuff like this and hurt your team like this.
Big East referee Jerry McGinn says Jeffrey and Dennard, you're out of here. Cannot throw punches. Well, Michael James and the Oregon Ducks arriving in Pasadena. The Rose Bowl game presented by Vizio's coming up after this Capital One Bowl. James 149.6 yards per game. We'll see if he can do his thing against number 10 Wisconsin. Meanwhile, back here we got a major news event with Alshon Jeffrey ejected from the game, as was Alfonso Dennard, two top flight elite NFL prospects. The matchup of this game, they are gone for getting into a fight. Rex Burkhead, gain of about 2.5. We have Terry McCauley, the NFL referee and Big East supervisor of officials, with us right here in the booth. Terry, your thoughts on what we saw?
Sure. Two players going toe-to-toe, swinging, connecting punches to each other. They take it out of the officials' hands. They can't stay in the game after that. It's just flagrant personal fouls that they took themselves out.
So they are gone. The star receiver, the star cornerback. Burkhead now on the pitch to Martinez, and he is taken down at the 20.
But Tess, you're talking about two guys. There's Dennard, likely first-round picks. You have to have more composure, and you have to be a better team player than worrying about your individual battle. I mean, that kind of character can't happen in a big game. You have to be there for your team.
Rose Bowl coming up after this Capital One Bowl. 3rd and 10 now for Nebraska. Final minute of the 3rd. Play clock under 5 as Martinez tries to change things up and set that offense. Ball was batted and falls incomplete, and there is a penalty marker down. Jadeveon Clowney got his hands up.
Body snap, delay of game, offense. Have your penalty. 3rd down.
Bo Pelini over there on the sideline. And there is Alfonso Dennard on the sideline. He's not supposed to be there. The rule is when you're ejected, you have to leave the playing field, as was the case with Alshon Jeffrey, South Carolina's receiver, who we saw walk off to the locker room. Third and 15 for this Nebraska team. They're resetting the clock here. Steve Spurrier has seen a little bit of everything today. They've scored by way of a blocked and return PAT, a Hail Mary, and trying to hold on to this 3-point margin. Martinez, pressure coming, and Clowney brings him down.
This South Carolina defense knows how to do pass rush. And here's a view from our DirecTV Ultimate Picture Cam. Clowney coming from the right side, stays with it. There's nowhere for Martinez to go to the other side. He comes right back to Clowney. DirecTV Ultimate Picture Cam.
Officials are going to run in here.
That's the end of the 3rd quarter.
And the 3rd quarter comes to an end as the clock runs down. And what was a wild finish to quarter number 3, because 2 of the big stars, they are no longer with us. Alshon Jeffrey and Alfonso Dennard ejected for fighting. Here in Orlando, Joe Tessitore, Rod Gilmore, Quint Kesnick, as South Carolina starts the 4th quarter with a 16-13 lead. Brett Maher to punt from his end zone. There's Sanders on the return. Flag is down right away as Sanders gets it to the 41.
Sanders on the return. Our flag on the play.
There's no flag on the play for illegal block in the back. 1st and 10.
So good field position for the Gamecocks on the plus side. But they will be doing their thing without their big receiver.
Yeah, Dennard and Jeffrey all day. Very physical, very emotional. Early on, Dennard really having his way with Jeffrey all over him, beating him up, using his hands, using his body. And then it resulted in this. After Jeffrey had a couple of big catches in the second quarter, Hail Mary right before half, you know the talking continued. And then they got carried away. Selfish act, throwing punches, automatically ejected from the game. Couple of first-round picks, talented players, not thinking and hurting their teams there.
Connor Shaw is going to take a strike downfield, and that is well overthrown. A flag comes in as he was trying to connect deep with Ace Sanders. Coverage came from Ciante Evans.
Pass interference. Defense, number 17. Automatic. First down.
Hard to believe that that was a catchable ball for some of these fans here, Ron.
Yeah, Bo Pelini does not like this. There's a touch, ball in the air. That's fairly typical, fairly normal. I mean, he did slow him down with that, but that's usually positioning. And that ball was well overthrown. The receiver gave up on the route, too. That's the reason I think Bo Pelini, has a right to be upset. There was not a lot of effort from Sanders to try and get free and get to the ball.
So it's a first down at the 26. Shaw pumps to the end zone, and that is incomplete. D'Angelo Smith could not hang on that time.
Well, he got free. He got inside of Green, and the ball's on the money. He's got to come down with it, though. You don't come down with it, it's not 6 points. He got inside of Green on that post route. Great effort by Green to hang in there and fight through the end and get the ball out.
2nd and 10 now. Shaw tries to get free, and he does, and is able to connect with Justice Cunningham, his 265-pound tight end. But minimal gain that time, so it'll make for a 3rd and long.
South Carolina has been struggling for offense. They haven't been able to run it with Shaw. He's been the focal point. And without Jeffrey out there, the passing attack is really limited. And on a 3rd and 8, where do you go for the offense?
Their 6'4", 229-pound NFL prospect receiver ejected. 3rd and 8. Shaw going to try to run for it. Flag is down as he has the first down for the moment. We will check on the flag and see if this is coming back.
I think it
Holding.
is.
Offense. Number 76. 10-yard penalty. 3rd down.
And that's big Mike Matulis.
Yeah, he got a lot of jersey. He got a lot of jersey on that one.
He's going up against Jason Ankra.
Yeah, he's right there. You'll see at the very end. He's going to get a couple of hands full of the jersey. And that'll draw the flag.
Let's go.
So after a scoreless 3rd quarter, now the Nebraska defense trying to hold up here. As the holding pushes back Steve Spurrier's offense to the 34-yard line. Sticks are down at the 16. Shaw over the middle, and that is complete for a first down. Ace Sanders came up big.
Wow. Nebraska rolled the dice on a 3rd and forever. They brought the house. They went all-out blitz, single coverage on the back end, and Sanders beats Evans on the post pattern. That was very risky, and it hurt Nebraska.
23-yard reception on what was a 3rd and 18. Miles And he is met after about a yard and a half that time by Josh Williams.
You know, that blitz, that's one call Pelini would like to have back, I'm sure.
Look at how fired up Bo Pelini is.
He's
he
not
is
happy with
so
it.
upset.
Yeah. Well, the pass interference call got him going a few minutes ago.
And he thought he was able to escape it for a moment, but then they convert that third down.
I think they got a little emotional with the call there. They wanted to get after Connor Shaw. They could have just played solid coverage and got out of it.
Second down now, Shaw. They can get a first down inside the 1. He wants more, and he got it. Kenny Miles, touchdown, South Carolina.
How about Kenny Miles? He's a senior. Has another year of eligibility. He is trying to decide whether to return to South Carolina next year or become a free agent and go elsewhere and play one more year with Marcus Lattimore coming back here next year.
Shaw found his man and scored it. Sophomore quarterback thrilled. Bo Pelini in a 10-point hold. Folks from Kakalaki enjoying themselves at the Capital One Bowl game with a 10-point lead. 23-13 South Carolina. Aerial coverage provided by Goodyear. Everything Goodyear has learned making tires that go the distance inspires what they roll into yours. Goodyear, more driven. Once we finish things up here in this beautiful setting, we go across the country to that one, where Monty Ball and Wisconsin will prepare for Oregon. It's the Rose Bowl game presented by Vizio. Coming up right here, 4:30 on ESPN. 38 total touchdowns on the year for the Wisconsin running back, Rob.
Outstanding season. Every right for him to be at New York City for the Heisman ceremony. Just a couple of touchdowns away from Barry Sanders' record of touchdowns.
He's the only one.
Not
He's
quite.
the only one that has scored more touchdowns in a college football season than
Sanders'
Wisconsin's
bowl
Monty Ball.
touchdowns were not counted.
That's right. It's a short kick fielded by Amir Abdullah. And Abdullah is able to cross the 25-yard line.
Let's go back to the touchdown. Nebraska had a breakdown in the secondary. Here's Miles. He's just going to run this route out here. Now watch what you have out here. You've got double coverage here. So somebody was supposed to deal with Miles out of the backfield. Now who is it? Should it be the corner falling off here, or was it David who was inside who was supposed to come off? Neither guy gets out there. And Miles is all alone.
There's Levante David, the All-America. And Miles, his first receiving touchdown of his career. Remember that pass interference on that drive, and then the 23-yard reception on a 3rd and 18 as well. Martinez, he can, oh boy, a should-have-been to Tim Marlowe.
He basically handed it to him.
Marlowe drops it at midfield.
Threw it right to him. Didn't lead him, didn't underthrow him. Put it right in the tummy. You got to have plays like that now. You're trying to get back in this.
Full diamond stack backfield now for Nebraska on 2nd and 10. And the whistle blows.
False start. Offense. 50. 5-yard penalty. 3rd down.
Quint.
2nd down.
Joe, while we were away at break, Bo Pelini with an absolute volcanic tirade on the sideline directed towards referee Jerry McGinn. He wanted an unsportsmanlike conduct call against a South Carolina offensive lineman. I mean, it was extended. It was emotional. He says, you've got to make that call.
He's been very frustrated today. Of course, he lost his star cornerback who was ejected from the game with that fight with Alshon Jeffrey, who was also ejected. Here's 2nd and 15, and Abdullah, as he tries to fight his way. Well, let's go back and show you what Quint was referring to with Bo Pelini.
Yeah, he's got him grabbing the face mask and throwing a punch, complaining about it. Not much you can do about it if you didn't see it. But Pelini says basically, you caught everything else. You even flagged us for a pass interference that was a shaky call.
3rd and 10 now. Martinez, and that is complete and good for a first down that time to Kenny Bell.
And that's the kind of throw that we've not typically seen out of Martinez. Tight window inside, within the zone, a little dig route, getting his guy.
Burkhead on the pitch this time. And it's tough to get to the outside against all that lateral speed, including that of Shaq Wilson, who made the tackle.
They forgot. That's an SEC defense out there. A lot of speed.
Ellis Johnson, their defensive coordinator who left to take the job at Southern Miss, when we talked to him a few weeks ago, he said, Wilson, the smartest defensive player that I've ever coached. New defensive coordinator Lorenzo Ward now in that position. Looking for a good 4th quarter from that Gamecock squad. 2nd and 12, and that is knocked loose. Brandon Kinney was the intended target, but Devontae Holloman got in there to break up that play.
The ball's a little bit late. Kinney gets a big hit. You know, there's space behind the linebackers in front of the safeties. That ball's right there. You got to catch that ball. And that's 2 drops on this drive. Swearinger and Holloman on the hit.
3rd and 12 now.
Burkhead back in the game after getting up slowly the last time he carried the ball.
There is Rex, the workhorse running back. They need a little magic from Martinez. Right now, though, he is being chased down, and he cannot escape it. Devin Taylor and Melvin Ingram able to track down Taylor Martinez.
Here's a view from our DirecTV Ultimate Picture Cam, and that defensive line, great speed on the outside, the edges. Defensive ends coming at you. You got 98 Taylor, and on the other side, Clowney. Bookends. And Ingram also showing up just for the fun of it.
Maher back on to punt. Ace Sanders awaits down near the 40. And he fields it at the 31, does Sanders. And a good return. A flag is down as Sanders goes past midfield, where he was eventually met by the punter. We'll check on the call here. We actually have 3 flags down.
Yeah.
We have a flag down at the 17-yard line in Nebraska, but then there are flags towards midfield where the return took place as well. So you see Jerry McGinn and that Big East officiating crew.
They had their
talking
choice.
things over.
Yeah, they had their choice. There were a couple of them out there. South Carolina inching closer to an 11th win.
There's multiple flags on the play. During the return, illegal block in the back, number 90 is declined. Also illegal block in the back, number 28 on the return team is declined. At the line of scrimmage, he had a hold penalty against number 90. The 10-yard penalty being forced from the previous spot. Replay, 4th down.
Well, that crew here with Jerry McGinn and his Big East officials. We have Terry McCauley, the supervisor officials from the Big East, just to my left in the booth with us. And he told us, hey, this is the Capital One Bowl. This is a nice prize for these guys. This group graded out the best among the officials, and they've had a lot to deal with here. Of course, they had the ejection of Alshon Jeffrey and Alfonso Dennard. That happened with 2 minutes to go in the 3rd.
Well, we've had this crew before this season. They're an excellent crew and handled that fight the only way they could. I mean, Jeffrey and Dinner.
Well, now they got to handle that. Now they got to handle that fight with Bo Pelini.
Yeah,
that verbal sparring going on. Pelini's been fired up for much of this second half. He was a bit upset with a pass interference call, and it led to a South Carolina score not so long ago to push this margin to 10.
Well, it was fair to question the pass interference call. The touchdown, that's on his guys. He had a blown assignment in the secondary.
Remember, the sack of Martinez pushed that ball back, so it only goes up to the 31 as we replay fourth down. Maher back on there as Sanders now rests near the 33 for the return. And he fields this now back at the 23. And this time he is wrapped up with good special teams coverage by the Cornhuskers. That was Justin Blatchford on the tackle. Brett Bielema rocking the headphones as he prepares for the Rose Bowl game presented by Vizio. Wisconsin and Oregon coming up right here on ESPN after the Capital One Bowl. Glorious day here at the Florida Citrus Bowl Stadium in Orlando for the Capital One Bowl. Aerial coverage provided by Goodyear. Everything Goodyear has learned making tires that go the distance inspires what they roll into yours. Goodyear, more driven. Joe Tessitore, Rod Gilmore, Quentin Kesnick here in Orlando. South Carolina up 10 in the fourth. Kenny Miles and a stiff arm and a good surge out for a first down. Let's check in with the studio.
All right, Joe, we got an update from the Outback Bowl. Things starting to get pretty close between Michigan State and Georgia. Check out Darqueze Dennard. Picks off Aaron Murray and takes it all the way back for the touchdown. Spartans went for two, did not convert. So into the fourth quarter now, 2-point ball game over on ABC. Florida and Ohio State on the deuce, 24-10. And Houston beats Penn State 30-14.
Thanks, Ryan. First down here for the Gamecocks, and not much running room that time as Levante David tore down Kenny Miles. Nebraska penalties, Rod, this half, and you saw how fired up Bo Pelini was. 8 penalties for 55 yards. Find themselves now in a 10-point hole.
Well, remember how confident Pelini was going in at halftime? Said, we'll be fine. Well, they really haven't been since the Hail Mary right before halftime.
13-9 game, 6 seconds left in the half, and then a 51-yard Hail Mary caught by Alshon Jeffrey, the star receiver from South Carolina, subsequently ejected from the game. Shaw on 2nd and 9, and just about a yard and a half as Will Compton,
Kind of a
linebacker with the tackle.
Kind of a wacky day to start the new year. A block PAT that Gilmore takes back for a 6-2 lead. And then how about Jeffrey, 6 seconds ago, the Hail Mary gets in there, and then he and Dinner, both first-round picks very likely, get into a fight and get kicked out of the game.
A little bit of everything we've had today.
Wow.
Some of it extraordinary and good and highlight making, and then that fight got real ugly. 3rd and 8 now. Nebraska looking for a stop. Shaw underneath, and then surging ahead was Ace Sanders, and he stepped out there just past midfield. Well, it's a first down where they're spotting it.
Speed and quickness. Watch what happens here. He's got Thorell on him, and he just uses his quickness to get beyond him and pick up the first down. And that's a mismatch. You got Sanders, who's incredibly quick, working against Thorell, who's their dime insertion, their 6th defensive back.
So ball just over midfield and a first down for the Gamecocks. And now Miles tries to get to work a bit, and he does so with success to the 43-yard line, tackled by Cameron Meredith.
You know, this South Carolina team has a chance to be pretty good next year. You get Marcus Lattimore back. You get Connor Shaw, a little bit more experience, a little bit more mature.
How about on the other side of the ball when you had the #1 recruit in the country at defensive end? Jadeveon Clowney is going to be a sophomore.
Well, the last couple years, they've owned the #1 recruit out of South Carolina, Lattimore, a couple years ago.
And they currently have a verbal commitment for this year's Mr. Football in South Carolina. They're hoping to sign him as well. Keep him at home. They've been going to other schools in the SEC, but in recent years, able to secure them. Chase Rome that time comes up with the tackle of Miles.
Nebraska wasn't ready. And Will Compton, middle linebacker, was looking to the sideline for a signal when that ball was snapped. You can't have your middle linebacker not involved in a run right up the middle because he's looking to the sideline.
Game 30, 3rd down and 1.
3rd and 1.
And you see they're checking now. And last time they didn't get back before the snap. They were looking to the sideline.
Miles. And it looks like he's going to be short that time. Avante David was the first to get to him, and then the rest came in and stacked him up.
They did a nice job of bringing the linebackers that time. They brought both Compton and David. Where they come inside, anticipating exactly what's coming. Both get in there, and then a little bit of help from Rome inside. Now, this is no man's territory just about it. Wouldn't be a surprise for Spurrier to go for it here.
Head ball coach facing a 4th and 1 at the 40. 9th most attempts in college football going for it on 4th down. And he's going to use a timeout. Leaving 5:02 on the clock and facing a 4th and 1 when we return to the Capital One Bowl here in Orlando. 23-13, just over 5 minutes to play in the 4th here in Orlando at the Capital One Bowl, part of ESPN's presentation of Capital One Bowl Week.
You know, the better play here is to kick the football. You know, you've got a 2-score lead. Nebraska's done nothing since the first quarter. You kick the ball here, you're in safe territory. You lose this here, you've given them a short field essentially.
4th and 1, South Carolina. Maybe a pooch punt?
Why take the risk here?
They're going for it. And they got it with ease. Kenny Miles picks up the 1st down as the Gamecocks look to close out this game over Bo Pelini's bunch.
I get it, but it's like, did you have to take the risk?
They're 2 for 2 now on 4th downs today. Remember, they also had Shaw's 1-yard touchdown run.
How about the metamorphosis with Steve Spurrier from the gun-slinging, throw it all over the field guy to let's pound it.
Isn't it amazing, Rod?
Yeah.
How he was able to adapt to everything we've known him to be in the past, and then this squad that's looking for school history here. They're trying to get to their 11th win. They're doing it with the running game, zone read option, and good defense. And now they'll try to take some time off the clock. We tell you that the Tostitos Fiesta Bowl will be coming your way tonight at 8:30 right here on ESPN. Number 4 Stanford, number 3 Oklahoma State. That's tonight on ESPN. You can listen to the call on ESPN Radio. Offensive talent everywhere you look in this game.
Well, how about what Andrew Luck started by coming back for his senior year? Look at the guys now that are returning because Andrew Luck set that up last year, coming back as a #1 pick. Matt Barkley coming back, and others.
And Matt Barkley's going to inherit that throne as preseason Heisman favorite that Luck had this year.
Monty Teo at Notre Dame coming back.
Connor Shaw just slides down near the line of scrimmage. A reminder that immediately following the game on ESPN 3, you can watch live coverage of today's Capital One Bowl trophy ceremony. That's after the game here on ESPN, over on ESPN 3. 3:38 to go. Carolina's looking for school history. Head ball coach has had quite a run. 7th year at South Carolina, but it all started as a Heisman Trophy winner back in '66. And of course, national championship at Florida back in '96. 7 times an SEC Coach of the Year. And here at South Carolina, trying to close out this Capital One Bowl and make school history. A win today would be the 11th of the year. South Carolina football dates back to 1892. That would be the most ever. 3rd and 7 here. They went for it on a 4th and 1 earlier in this drive, and now facing a 3rd and 7. Connor Shaw's done a good job of just managing the day.
Not a single turnover for Connor Shaw.
Fine-looking sophomore is going to keep it himself, and he was ridden down that time by Cameron Meredith. And a timeout is called by Nebraska. We'll take a break. 23-13, Nebraska looking for something. All right, thanks, Ryan. Back here in Orlando, Joe Tessitore, Rod Gilmore, Quint Kesnick, as Nebraska holds out hope for something to break their way and get a chance here. But South Carolina's been doing a good job of taking that clock down, trying to close out this game. Now it's 4th down at the 31-yard line.
As we inch closer to Wisconsin, Oregon.
Rose Bowl game presented by Vizio. This is a 4th and 6. Shaw picks up a block, picks up the first down inside the 20, inside the 10. He was hit at the end there as he started to slide.
And flags come down. He's knocked a little woozy there, or a lot woozy.
You saw right at the end there that Damian Stafford came in as Connor Shaw was inside the 10.
Yeah, he may not be completely clear about where he is right now. Oh,
shakes it off.
Shakes it off. Shakes it off. He goes down, and there's a helmet to helmet. Stafford got him. And that's automatic, and that's dangerous. And one of the good things over the last couple years has been the heavy emphasis on helmet to helmet or above the shoulder contact.
See how he's being supported there as he is woozy for a moment, and then as soon as he gathered himself, he pumped up those fans and said, hey, let's get ourselves a victory here. Dylan Thompson, the redshirt freshman, comes in now to play quarterback. And into the end zone goes Kenny Miles.
Well, Tess, everything changed with those last 6 seconds of the first half. Alshon Jeffrey with the Hail Mary, and it's been all South Carolina since then. Kenny Miles getting in after all the great decision-making and nifty running by Connor Shaw. (30-13),
South Carolina. This is a team that is going to have a lot of high hopes going into next year, but the immediate future includes the Rose Bowl game presented by Vizio. And Rod, former Pac-10 player, long-standing observer and broadcaster of West Coast football. Let's talk about the Oregon side of things first. How do they match up with Wisconsin?
I think it's a great matchup. I think it's a fantastic contrast in styles. I think it's a really big game for Oregon, considering that they've struggled in BCS games in the past, and they've got an offense that is so exciting, but it hasn't shown up in the last big games. Ohio State got them in the Rose Bowl a couple of years ago. Auburn shut them down in last year's national championship game. You know, and LSU shut them down at the beginning of this season. So, you know, if you're an Oregon fan, you're waiting for Chip Kelly's offense to have that big performance on the really, really big stage. That's what you're looking for, and I think Oregon is primed for that. They've done it in the conference in the Pac-12, but they've not done it on the big stage out of conference.
South Carolina just over 3 minutes away from a milestone that Steve Spurrier's been talking about, and that is the most wins in school history. Looking for win number 11. They came here to Orlando, and that is squibbed and handled by one of the upbacks this time, out to the 43-yard line. That was Whaley, the linebacker.
Well, you know, when you look at the Rose Bowl matchup, Monty Ball and Michael James. Well, Michael James, although he's been bringing it and leads the nation in rushing, he hasn't gotten it done in those big games. Big out-of-conference game. Rose Bowl, Ohio State shut him down. They lost the game, not a lot of points. BCS championship game, Auburn, they shut him down. 49 yards rushing, no touchdowns. They didn't score a lot. LSU limited him to 54 yards rushing, and the common theme there, defensive lines that have been active and overwhelmed Oregon's offensive line, so that LaMichael James didn't have anywhere to go.
Speaking of which, on cue is Melvin Ingram when you talk about active defensive lines. Melvin Ingram, the senior defensive end who had those 2 touchdowns against Georgia that got so much attention, had the fake punt, 68-yard touchdown, then had a fumble recovery they scooped. But strictly as a defensive lineman, I mean, this guy's awesome. Expected to be a top 12 NFL draft pick.
Yeah, 3 touchdowns this season, an All-American. And he's a versatile player. You can play him inside, outside. He's played middle linebacker in option situations in the past. And how about that guy?
Well, he's the future. Flag comes down. That is Jadeveon Clowney. Last year, he was the #1 recruit coming out of high school football.
Holding, offense, penalties decline, 3rd down.
He gets held, and he still makes the sack. I mean, he just gets grabbed, but he's too quick, too fast, too strong, coming around the edge. There he is. Watch the matchup there. Too much quickness, too much speed. He gets grabbed. He's still there. You're talking about a guy who's going to be a big-time player. 6, 7 sacks this season in a backup role.
5th sack of the day for South Carolina. 3rd and 22. Martinez being chased and desperate again and goes down yet again. That was Travian Robertson. So they're just passing out the sacks now. You got Ingram, Clowney, Robertson, and the clock counts down. It's going to be quite a celebration for South Carolina and Steve Spurrier. No team in history of the Gamecocks has ever had 11 wins. They were pumped up pre-game. Rod, you were down there on the field. You came up, I turned to you, I said, this team's jacked up down there, aren't they?
Yeah, you know, SEC speed, physical. They will be a top 10 team going into next season. Think about that SEC East. Georgia will be considered. South Carolina, with everyone coming back, a returning starting quarterback. Marcus Lattimore should return. They lose Jeffrey, but there's a lot of talent on that team.
Now, the expectations are going to be high. Top 10 team here with a convincing win over Nebraska in their first year in the Big Ten. A lot of returning talent. All the upside of that defense, and Steve Spurrier, a legendary longtime coach who was able to adapt and make the most of what the offense offered him this year with the running game, a quarterback who preferred the zone read, and lacking the Heisman contending running back Marcus Lattimore, who was injured and lost for the year.
Well, he said earlier in the year that this team, Steven Garcia, needed this team more than they needed Garcia, and Connor Shaw stepped in and did a great job for this team, and they built the offense around him.
And he is the player of the game, brought to you by Capital One. A rushing touchdown, the 2 passing touchdowns, and just before half, able to escape the pressure and launch a 51-yard pass that Alshon Jeffrey caught to make it 16-13 in what will be a highlight shown time and time again. 21 unanswered points for South Carolina.
And how about the job by the new defensive coordinator, Lorenzo Ward, shutting out this team in the second half.
Clock counting down on South Carolina's victory as the celebration has begun here in Orlando. 11 wins on the year. Let's head down to the field and Quinn.
Coach, congratulations.
That was a good one. That was a good one for South Carolina.
What was your reaction to the Hail Mary right before halftime?
Well, you know, throw it up and see what happens. Alshon made a heck of a play, and he had a super game. I don't know what happened on that punching, But we finally had a couple of drives second half. Our defense was super.
I was going to ask you,
super
how do you
the whole
best
second
describe
half.
pitching a shutout for 3 quarters?
Yeah, that was something. I mean, the way they moved the ball early, I thought we needed to score 40. But somehow, no, we got 30, and that was plenty good enough.
What's it like to get that 11th win?
I'll tell you what, I've had some fortune of doing some first times, but it's a big one.
Congratulations, Coach. Joe.
Was a big one. 30-13, the final score. Coming up next, it is the Rose Bowl game presented by Vizio. We're going to have live coverage of the trophy presentation here at the Capital One Bowl if you log on to ESPN 3. What a good day for Connor Shaw and the Gamecocks. The SEC on top of the Big Ten. 11 wins for Coach Spurrier in South Carolina. Wisconsin and Oregon coming up. Now let's get you to Chris Fowler in Pasadena for the Rose Bowl game presented by Vizio.